Morning, everybody. It's the 5th of October. It's Monday. We're Signal Centre, talking ball. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Ian Coleman. Morning, Ian.
Morning, mate. You all right?
Yeah, good, thanks. No Steve today. He's taking some time off this week on annual leave, so it'll just be us two for the week, going through the events in the market and what's moving markets. It's been a fairly eventful weekend in terms of news. I'm sure
Trump's
most
recovered, hasn't
people.
he?
He looks
He's
like
only
he's
had
made a full
it.
recovery, doesn't he?
He's only had it for 24 hours and he's out.
Unbelievable.
I was watching the news on Saturday, and was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday. And his doctors and his advisors, that everybody was getting the dates wrong and the times wrong, and when he was diagnosed with it, and when he had a test, and
Yeah, there was rumours that he had it prior to going on telly, I think on Friday or
right.
whenever it was, or Thursday, and yeah,
I
loads
think
of
the general feeling is that he's not had it at all.
yeah. Well, it's just a one big,
It's one big scam.
yeah, one big play at trying to get some extra votes, maybe.
Because he was bored yesterday, wasn't he? So he went outside the hospital and had a wave at his fans.
Yeah, we was watching the news yesterday. I was around my mum and dad's. I was watching it with my dad, and there was a few people outside the hospital, crowds and stuff.
Mm.
And I was just waiting for a tweet from Trump to go, yeah, all these thousands of people that were
Yeah,
outside,
yeah,
just exaggerating
yeah,
how many people were there.
yeah. It's classic, isn't he?
It really is. And there was also a lot of rumours going around that obviously he's done these videos that they were pre-recorded prior to him going in because um, obviously if he was properly incapacitated, then he wouldn't be able to do
Oh, right.
any sort of
Interesting.
videos. So when he knew that he was potentially going to go down with it, he was sort of pre-recording these videos.
Mm.
It's all speculation. I don't know
Yeah.
that for a fact. I just, I spend too much time on Twitter, really, is the issue, and reading into all these conspiracy theories.
But did you see at one of his rallies last week? I think it's beginning of last week, or that nobody had a mask on.
No,
They
there was all
all sort of
cuddling and
all
hugging.
crowded in and might have been licking each other's faces. I mean, it was ridiculous. And he's on there going, raving,
Yeah.
not the Trump.
Oh,
Uh,
God. Yes.
anyway.
So,
So we had a
markets.
little Trump rally overnight, didn't we, in the stocks? But it's
Yeah.
faded pretty quickly.
Was that Trump or was that from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi lifting expectations about an impending stimulus package?
Bit of both, I
Saying
think.
that they're making progress on that. But let's have a quick look at the indices before we let you have a look at the FX stuff. So this is the FTSE 100. Possible that we're getting a little bit of a bottoming pattern taking shape here, maybe.
Yeah,
Break out of this sort of channel or consolidation period, and then maybe a pullback lower today to try and buy. That's what we're looking at on our intraday analysis anyway. But I
yeah.
don't really like that candle over the last hour, which is a fair old engulfing candle on the hourly chart. So I'll be little bit wary about that. It's a similar sort of picture across the board. This is the CAC. I've got an inverse head and shoulders forming here on the CAC, and we had a little bit of a go at breaking out above that neckline at 48.68. But we appear to have rejected that with again quite an ugly looking candle on the hourly chart. So be careful if you're thinking of preempting a breakout there, because that doesn't look too healthy at all. And on the DAX, it's a similar situation. Possible bottom patterns formed, broken out of this channel, retesting now. But again, it's another sort of fairly chunky reversal
Yeah.
candle. So need
You'd
to be a
normally
little
be
bit
quite
careful.
happy to buy those retests, wouldn't you, if it wasn't for that?
If it wasn't for how aggressive
Mm.
and how large that turnaround is over the last hour, then yes, definitely. If you look at the US markets, it's a little bit of a different picture. I've got potentially, well, obviously we've got a double bottom that formed here, but is this a head and shoulders forming here? It's
Mm.
very mixed, very choppy, and it's going to be challenging conditions, I think. So
I was looking at Nasdaq this morning, actually. I think dip buying is still favourable, but a lot further down.
yeah, I mean, clearly it's in a massive uptrend. This is what we've got on the daily chart. We've seen this huge rally from the March lows, a little bit of a wedge formation here, or some sort of continuation pattern, breakout above that. But again, that daily candle on Friday doesn't look particularly great, but we could be seeing a retest down to sort of 11,000, and that could interest some buyers. But on the intraday charts, on the hourly anyway, a little bit of a range forming here, potential for that to have been a double bottom, I think, on the breakout there. So 2 bottoms there, breakout above there, pull back nicely and a rally higher, but it's not really extending. So expecting more mixed and choppy price action, I think, in the coming days from here until we can get some further clarity on the health of Donald Trump and whether or not there's going to be any further progress made on the stimulus package from the US. How's it looking in the FX world, Ian?
I wanted just to talk about this Nasdaq very quickly.
Please do.
Because what I'm seeing here, just from our bespoke indicators, so you've got this previous swing low here, which is at 109.41, and we've got our bespoke support at 109.36. So I'm just wondering whether or not we might get a double-headed reverse head and shoulder beastie. So these being the left shoulder, this being 2 heads potentially, and then coming down to form a right shoulder, and this sort of being a neckline across here, also with that sort of 5 waves up. Now, obviously, if this is an Elliott wave, then 5 waves up, choppy 3 waves down. So I'm wondering whether or not this is a little bit move up in B and then down in C. And I think if you put a fib onto there, you're probably going to get 78.6% down around that level. That's swing low. Yeah, so it's just in between, basically. So I think that's sort of prime support. I just wanted to go over to these first. So these are the basket charts that Joe sort of invented a while ago, and now they're quite freely available, I think, on TradingView. But I've just highlighted where the big major sort of news releases are this week. Now there is quite a bit, but where it lines up with our sort of resistance levels or potential resistance levels. So you've got this previous sort of swing high here in this is the dollar index, and then you've got this 161.8% extension. It could potentially line up with the FOMC. So sort of dollar buying maybe at the beginning of the week. And that would mean euro dollar obviously to the downside, but only for that to then be sold into potentially sort of FOMC on Wednesday or the 7th at 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 1900 hours. And if you go to sort of a lot of the others, again, we've got support down here, potentially a 261.8% extension level. There was support here overnight, which just bounced off near it. But this is ECB. Can we get down to there before the 8th? And again, if we do, I think it's sort of a buying opportunity. Sterling has just been, since making that sort of decent move to the upside with this Brexit, stalemate really at the moment, isn't it? We're just moving sideways. UK PMI today, but I think this is quite important. The GDP, which comes out on the 9th at 7 a.m. and we've got resistance up here, so you can see how they line up with these fib levels. So the dotted line is our bespoke resistance, and then you've got these fib levels. So I think at the beginning of the week, at least, it's going to be pretty boring. And I think we're going to sort of wait for those big sort of market moving releases, basically. So going back and reflecting that back onto sort of FX majors, I think the upside is the stronger side at the beginning of the week, but only to sell into it. And if you reflect that back onto euro dollar, this is what we're looking at sort of this morning. 5 waves up, pretty mixed volatile trade, but here we've got this confluence area, so it's a 161.8% extension of that move, and it's a 78.6% pullback of this move, and that, if it stops there, will basically form a Gartley pattern. So again, you could quite easily get mixed and volatile trading up until the sort of 6th, 7th, 8th ECB and the Fed. So I think at the moment, like I said, you might favour the upside and selling into rallies, maybe on a sort of a small head and shoulders formation. But I think this is the long-term trade, which is buying into dips. And if you look at cable, Let's just move it out a bit. These are bespoke support and resistance levels. So again, 161.8%. So it's a little bit different cable, but we've got an ending wedge here. But even if you get down to this level, are we going to form a reverse head and shoulders pattern again? So sort of buying into dips. What else did I found interesting? Dollar Swiss. And again, is it just going to get chopped about? But preferred trade is to sort of sell into dollar rallies for a move all the way down here, which is 90 the figure, for a confluence zone. So what I'm trying to get across is that I think until Wednesday, it's just going to be very, very choppy. And then hopefully we'll get a bit of direction in the US dollar and then the euro and then sterling. But I think we're going to have to wait for those baskets to play out, basically.
Yes, we've got the Chinese markets closed as well. I think they've got some sort of public holiday at the moment. Apologies for not knowing what that is, but obviously, as we've said, aside from those big data releases, we've got Brexit talks, which are a little bit of a stalemate. President Macron is
National Day.
reluctant to make. Is it National Day? Thanks for that.
Don't know what that means.
President Macron is reluctant to make concessions on fishing. That seems to be the big issue here, is about what's going to happen with the fisheries in and around the UK. So plenty going on, but no real sort of resolutions or clear directions on any of it, which is, as you say, probably going to lead to some quite choppy and volatile trading. So I'm expecting quite a tough week, I think, with regards to markets. If we take a look back to Friday on our gun to the head stuff, so this is where we pick a trade live on the video in the mornings and see how they play out throughout the day. We close them off at 9 p.m. UK time. On Friday, Ian and you went short of sterling Swiss,
Didn't move,
and I went long of Euro New Zealand dollar, both of which were losses at the 9 o'clock close. 24 ticks for Ian, 14 ticks for me, 0.42 and 0.36R. But Steve saved our bacon with a 1.83R win on his short on NASDAQ. So overall, we made some positive returns on Friday, which is nice.
Yeah.
Overall, the P&L is ticking higher, but in a fairly choppy way. No sort of consistency in it at the moment, and I think that is just really symbolic of what's going on in the wider market. So let's see what happens this week. Hopefully, between myself and Ian, we can pull out some rabbits from the hat while Steve is away.
Yeah.
You got anything lined up for us, Ian?
No, I'm just gonna. I mean, I'm telling everybody to sell into dollar strength, but I'm gonna have to buy into it today, aren't I? Because I can't really see a lot else. So basically, that's where I'd look to sell it. So I'm gonna buy the dollar index up to that level. Long. We'll stop under there. So getting long at 93.72, targeting 94.36 with a stop at 93.52, giving me 3R. Well, like I said, you'll be lucky if he gets there today. I think Wednesday will be the catalyst. But if we can grind higher, that'll do me.
Okay, nice. Just doing this on the fly. Not really much I fancy out there at all at the minute, but I've got a chart here of Sterling Oz. Sterling's picked up a little bit over the last hour or so. Potentially some rumblings going on with regards to Brexit, which may be positive for sterling. This is an hourly chart. We've got a decent swing high here, or swing move higher from sterling Oz. We've seen a decent pullback to this 50% level, and we see some buyers step in with that big old green candle there, which appeared at midday on Friday. Was it Friday? On Thursday. So I think momentum is still on the bullish side. If we look at what's happened over the last hour, then we've seen a nice looking bullish candle form there. We made a new low, but then closed above the high of the previous candle, and it looks as though we're going to continue to move higher in the short term. So I'm going to go nice and tight, buying it here at 80.40. Let's go, why not, all the way up here, 82 84. So we'll just bring that down to 80, just so it's just in front. Stop loss of 55 ticks.
Lovely.
4.35 R if that
Good
plays
luck.
out from here. We shall see. So I think it's going to be pretty tough. In terms of market data today, we've got Eurozone retail sales at 10 o'clock. We're expected to see sales rise 0.5% month on month. And then we've got the US ISM non-manufacturing PMI data at 3 p.m., which is generally, which can be a market moving number. The index is expected to fall to 55 from 56.9. So keep an eye out for US indices and US dollar crosses at around 3 p.m. today. So Ian, can you just confirm again what we've got out later on in the week that people need to be aware of?
Yeah, we've got, well, it's trade balance out of Australia and RBA interest rate decision at 4:30 overnight, and their budget release. Fed chairs Powell speaks tomorrow late afternoon about 3:40. Let's have a look at the others, and then just going to a different calendar because that one only it doesn't do enough filters.
It's got FOMC on Wednesday, did you say?
Yeah, FOMC Wednesday and then ECB Thursday.
Bank of England?
Bank of England, no, GDP. We've got UK GDP. When's that? I'm just getting all flustered now, Joe.
Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to put you under pressure.
It's all right. So UK GDP 9th, when's that? Friday, 7 a.m. So you've got to be up early for that one. We've got PMI figures out of the UK today. Like I said, it's FOMC 7 o'clock Wednesday. Then from the Eurozone, it's ECB 12:30 on Thursday.
Cool.
And then Aussie overnight, which obviously, if you're trading New Zealand crosses as well, it has a tendency to move in conjunction. And then we have actually got some Swiss figures out this week. We've got Swiss unemployment, that's on the 9th, so that's on Friday at 7 a.m. And yen, we've got the yen or Japanese GDP overnight on the 8th.
Cool. So a fairly stacked week data-wise and event-wise as well. So yeah, promises to be an interesting week, but I think the underlying theme that certainly what we're seeing from the charts is that it could be quite choppy. So do be careful and good luck.
Indeed.
We shall see you all again tomorrow morning then.
Okay, mate. Lovely.
Cool. Have a good one.
Cheers, Joe. Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.